In a previous video, we created Word reports by placing document objects into Word documents based on our Word company templates. But what happens if these document objects, like the requirements and specs that we placed into that document, gets updated in the project? Well, of course, the document is now outdated and we want to update that document. We call this action synchronization in Aligned Elements, and that's what I want to talk about today. As you might remember, we have the File Explorer that contains file objects, and these file objects are placeholders for our documents. So we got our documents in the file objects. Now, a file object knows which items you have placed inside the document, including the revisions of these items. And therefore, the file object inconsistencies can also find out if any of these objects in the document has been updated since they were placed there. And here we can see that the inconsistencies picks up that a test case contained in this document has been updated in the project, thus rendering this document out of date. So let's go ahead and update this document. I have opened the Word document. I got the documents here on the left side and the add-in on the right side. And I know that this document object here has been updated in the project. We can see that the title here doesn't correspond to the title here. So if I want to update this document with the data here, I go to the toolbar and click on the Synchronize button. The document is now updated with the latest data from the project. So we can see here the revision was updated and the title was updated. All the action that took place during the sync operation can be viewed here if I click on messages and scroll in this log window. Then we'll see everything that happened. Now, a synchronization action does more than just updating objects in the document. If an object has been disabled in the project, that means that it has been removed in the project, then a sync action will also remove that document object from the document. So removed in the project, sync will then remove it from the document. As you also remember, we have these things called chapters in Aligned Elements. So here we have a chapter, here are other chapters, and they have chapter names. If a chapter name would be updated in the project and I sync, well, then the corresponding heading in the document will also be updated. If a document object has been added to a chapter in the project, and then it of course doesn't exist in the document yet, but a sync action will automatically then add the new document object to the document, given that its parent chapter exists in the document. Any trace information like trace tables and risk tables, they will also automatically be presented with the latest traceability data after you have synced. Note that a sync action never changes the order of the items in a document. So if you have reordered items here in the project and then sync, the document will not be reordering the objects correspondingly. In order to solve that, you would then need to manually remove the items from the document and then reinsert them into the document to get the latest order in the project. Now, ideally, I would go down here to the end of the document. I would fill out the change history with the changes that I have done, and I would click on the Save button, which will then upload the document back into Aligned Elements, and I would commit the file object in order to save the changes into the database. Now, I want to show you an additional trick. Not only can you make changes in the project like we just did and sync it into the document, we can also make changes in the document and sync it back to the database. Now, let me show you how that is done. As long as I make a change in a attribute content control, like the title here or the description here, let's make a little change here to this verification test case, and I then synchronize, well, the document and the project will get compared, and Aligned Elements detects that there was a change here, which means that I get a gap form, I enter a change comment, this was updated by me, and this verification test case will get a new revision in the project and will then be reinserted into the document. We now get the new revision 3 here. As you can imagine, this synchronization actions can lead to conflicts. For example, let's say that I make a change here to a test case in the document, and someone else make a change during the same time to the project. Well, then I have a new revision in the project, and I've also made a change here in the document. When I sync, I will get a conflict. So let me show you what a conflict looks like in aligned elements. Now, this is a conflict form. That means that I have made changes to this test case in the document, and in the meantime, somebody else made changes to the object in the project. And when I sync now, aligned elements will tell me, you need to resolve this conflict. On the left side, I have the version in the document. On the right side, the version in the project. And I now have to choose which of these should override the other. If I click use left, then my changes will override those in the project and will be reinserted into the document. If I click use right, then the latest version in the project will then be inserted into the document. I will click use left. We enter a change comment. And that verification test case was now updated into the project and then reinserted back into the document. We can see it here. Now, in general, I would recommend that you make changes in the project and sync it to the documents rather than the other way around. It's just a much faster way to work. And for this particular purpose, we have an additional button, this button here, next to the synchronization button. This says update the documents with the database. And this is similar to a synchronization, but it only synchronizes in one way, meaning that aligned elements will figure out what document objects do you have in the document, and then find the latest revisions for the corresponding objects in the database and simply replace the existing document objects with their latest revisions into the document. This means that any changes that were made into the document will be ignored, and we simply take the latest revisions of the corresponding document objects and place them into the document. It's a really fast operation since no comparison needs to be done. These two functions, synchronize and update, they are also available in the UI. Let me show you. We are now back in the Aligned Elements UI. We have the File Explorer here to the left, and I have a file object to the right. I can use the synchronize and force update functions right here in the Actions menu to perform synchronization and force update actions without having to open the document in Word. So this is a really fast and neat way to synchronize and update documents in Aligned Elements. Now, good luck with your documentation actions in Aligned Elements.